Hush. Welcome again to another edition of Sanuces True Skills and Drills, where we're all about uplifting the name of Sanuces and the name of Dr. Moses Powell. Today we have Dr. Moses Powell's #1 first champion, street fighter, Grandmaster Lumumba Hernandez. We also interview Professor Stone from Vee Jitsu. We're interviewing Professor Hakeem from 720. We're also interviewing Professor O.C.K. Jones. Enjoy this interview. Hush. Hush. Welcome again to another edition of Sanuces True Skills and Drills, where we uplift the name of Dr. Moses Powell and Sanuces True Jiu-Jitsu for the betterment and the advancement of the up-and-coming students, the potential masters. Today, we have Grandmaster Lumumba Hernandez, Dr. Moses Powell's first champion, a legend in the street, the dojo. He's one of the most knowledgeable Vee Jitsu practitioners and Sanuces practitioners that we have. We also have, like his son, Professor Hakeem, awesome demonstrator, beautiful roles, kata man, and we also have my brother, like no other, Soke, Professor O.C.K. Jones, Kenyatta Jones, us. So thank y'all for tuning in. We're just gonna ask a few questions, and we're gonna do like a touch and go, a randouille type of thing. So, Professor, let's start with Grandmaster Lumumba. Grandmaster Lumumba, it's been said that you were very deadly in the street, and you practiced Sanuces not for the dojo, but for self-defense in the street. Can you talk about how it was when you were coming up, let's say in the early, before it was called Sanuces, some of the training and some of the stuff you did?
Well, we trained pretty hard. First of all, the streets was kind of rough. We had to be tough. We had to fight in the street. We had to fight with our hands, and you had to be good if it beat you up. So besides that, when I went to Sanuces, it was an opportunity for me to learn the stuff for the street, because I was basically in the street fighting people. And Moses Powell was very, very, very good, because he keep us training hard training, conditioning, hard workout. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, what about Vee Jitsu? I was told by one of the, I'm gonna call them the original Sanuces crew, that when it comes down to 1 through 24, Vee Jitsu Te, Vee Jitsu Ru, and Kung Fu walking, you were the man to come to for instruction, because you were a major player in spreading Vee Jitsu to the black community in New York.
Well, Moses Powell, Mr. V was Moses Powell's teacher, so I naturally went to Mr. V to learn from Mr. V too, and I learned with Moses Powell at the same time.
Yes, sir.
At one time, Moses Powell didn't like it, but he embraced it after a while before he teach. I was learning two systems.
Yes, sir.
Which it was more effective. In a sense, people don't realize it. Moses Powell, I shouldn't tell anybody, but Moses Powell was a big style. Where Vee Jitsu is a shorter style and more effective, more dangerous, more strikes. It's actually it's overkill.
Yes, sir.
Which was good for me because I'm a small guy too. So it's more effective for smaller people.
Yes, sir. In Sanuces, we have 9 peer forms, 10 short forms, 5 long forms, Kiniwaza, the knife stick forms. We have a lot, but it's been said by several people, I've heard it over the last 10, 15 years, that Sanuces is not a system. Do you see Sanuces as a system?
Of course there's a system. Of course. What do you want to say?
Sanuces is definitely a system that was founded by Dr. Moses Powell.
Right.
And like I said in prior interviews, Sanuces Jiu-Jitsu is the way in which Dr. Moses Powell gets home.
Gosh.
And basically he gave us his take on his travels. He traveled not only with Grand Professor V, but with other instructors that he gave credit to, and formulated Sanuces. So Sanuces is Doc is Sanuces, and that's the way in which he got home.
Yes, sir.
And he shared that with us.
Yes, sir.
Totally.
Professor Hakeem, what you say?
Definitely is a system. As Grandmaster Lumumba said, if it's just one technique that came out of Sanuces, we make a whole system out of that, because from one technique there's 1,000 variations.
Yes,
we
sir.
can do a lot of stuff more than just one technique from Sanuces.
Yes, sir.
You know, and on top of that, you know, I just say, the stuff that we see people doing now, I bear witness that nobody else was doing that. You understand? Whether it's in tournament, whether it's on the streets. So it's all came from Sanuces, so it's definitely a system.
Yes, sir. So we're at 720 Degrees Dojo. What's the name of the dojo, sir? What's the proper name? Professor?
What's the name of the school? Right?
Yes,
The
sir.
school is 720 Degrees Wisdom Sanuces Jiu-Jitsu Technical Academy. Right? But the system is Sanuces Jiu-Jitsu. Right? So the 720 degrees have a little spiritual and scientific meaning behind it. And that is, we start, when you deal with the numerical values of anything, we start to come with the number 0. So 0 is the first number. And the biggest number after that would be 9. 7 and 2 is 9. 9 to the 9th power of 9, 9 ether, which is also dealing with the black man and woman. You know, so it has a very strong base with black heritage and legacy. We also dealing with the angel Melchizedek. Some people may know as Christians as Michael the archangels, who when in the Bible it speaks of the Creator said, "Let us make man." Obviously we speak English, and us is plural. So there had to be someone as the Creator was speaking to when He created man and woman, and that's just the number. As far as the crescent and the pyramid and the spear that you see in the 720, the spear represents what we do, right? It represents blood, strength, power, right? We kill, we fight, and we shed blood. You know, the crescent represents peace, right? And within the crescent, there is wisdom. And the wisdom came because of the pyramids. The pyramids, the step pyramids, you see we have, it isn't fully built because we're still building. We have a foundation and we're growing. We don't stop growing from that. And underneath there is 3 circles, right? Which in a spiritual level is called Nasut, Malakut, and Lahut, right? Which is, you could say mind, body, and spirit, right? You're dealing with the realm of man, which is the bottom. The middle is the realm of the angels. And the top is the realm of the Creator. So we strive to become back again to where we started, which is beings. Back to the Creator. Inside of it you have Love. It don't look like that, but you have that in there. Something that looks like a bicycle. In Arabic it says Huwa, He who is, and that is the Creator. Well, I don't want to go too much detail in that because we're dealing with something else here.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? So we got love, we got a lot of love in this dojo. We got war, which is the spear, and we got peace. So we cover a lot of different stuff right within that symbols there. And of course the colors, but we get into that part another time.
Okay.
Well,
All right. So Grandmaster Lumumba, one time you and I were talking, you had called me, and it was about something that was on Facebook about pressure points. And Hassan Khalid was teaching some pressure points at my dojo, and I wrote a post and I said, teaching like a doctor. And when you called me, you told me years ago you used to teach like that with the anatomy. And is that something that you got from Professor V? Because I understand he taught how to deal with the human body.
Yes, Professor V, but also some of the arts I studied from the Chinese arts. They deal with the body too.
Yes, sir.
Charts.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
So I studied Sanuces, Vee Jitsu, Aikido school, Fujai Pai, 7-star Mantis. That's a few. So I went to school, I paid the money, and I went to this class stadium for a while.
Yes, sir.
So all these, especially these, the Chinese have a pretty good documentation, but it's the black people who doesn't document these things. The Chinese document everything. They make it look so beautiful and wonderful, have a long history and chronological sequence. But we don't revive or keep our family history to ourselves and to the public.
Yes, sir. You know, on that note, and then I'll jump over Professor Ho said, you know, Dr. Moses Powell at Sanuces is a beautiful system. And a lot of people copy Sanuces.
Yes.
They don't call it Sanuces.
Yes.
But even karate people, they do rollouts and ryukinis and things of that nature, kodegash. Impansianagi, Shotokan, all different, and everybody's making up their own system using Sanuces. I don't understand what's wrong with lifting up the name of Dr. Moses Powell and Sanuces Rue, because when you take what Doc teaches and you call it something else, you are killing our system. Sanuces should be as big as Taekwondo and Shotokan. What do you say about that? Why do we do that?
Well, first of all, we need some people like you to document these things and to let the public know, be aware of it.
Yes, sir.
Because sometimes, and it's true, people will take Sanuces and with little other system, they create another system. Well, I'm going to say about it. That's their business. But really, they don't give it, like you said, Sanuces credit.
Yes, sir.
So, but Sanuces is like Mr. V, it's an open system. We could take everything and still, but our Sanuces, what is the basic of Sanuces? The real defense strategy. Well, it's not primary. Primary means we have 1, 2, 3. We have Jiu-Jitsu is, what are you doing? You're breaking arms, legs, everything. You're destroying the physical anatomy of the body, beautifully and scientifically.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Teach.
So, unfortunately, this is the art that I wanted to say of killing people. The consequences of the movements is to do what? I shoot a guy in his neck and I break his neck. I destroy his face, whatever. Eyes, throat, groin. I'm one of the vital parts of the physical human body. Because I wanted to get this guy off me. He's trying to hurt me.
Yes, sir.
So I'm telling you, I don't. If it wasn't for the law, I would let the guy go down on the ground because he's trying to attack me. I don't care what happened to him after that.
Yes, sir.
I hope I win and I hope he survive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I train particularly for that reason. If somebody attacks me, they go down.
Yes, sir.
But there's another part to that also, because now we're only doing the physical part. But what is the transition from the physical to the spiritual, to the emotional, to the mental, right? And there we go. So we need just not to kill people. We need other things too, which I really do this now: breathing, meditation, stretching. So besides being a war machine, you have to make your body more healthy. You have to eat better. You have to rest. You have to take time to make your body more healthy, and particularly your lungs. The immune system. Now this coronavirus is going on now. We have exercise to help boost up the immune system and strengthen the lungs.
Yes, sir.
These guys don't strengthen the lungs, so they're good fighters. But what are they doing in the lungs? How are they making their bodies more stronger? Even as a weapon, but also as a source of life and energy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good answer. Professor Osei, what's your take on Sanuces and the children in the future of pushing this system to the forefront?
I've been blessed by Grandmaster Anthony Abdulaziz. At the time, it had appeared to be sort of a punishment because when I had finally made black belt, I wanted to indulge and work out and train with the black belts. And for some reason, during the black belt class, there always seemed to be a children's class going on simultaneously. And it was always the pleasure of somebody saying, well, all right, we need somebody over here to work with these guys so that they don't get in our way. Osei, do me a favor, take them through some drills. And I'm like throwing up my hands like, you gotta be kidding me. I just got my belt, I'm ready to rock and roll, And at the time, I used to call it being stuck with the children. But that became my blessing as far as the instruction of Sanuces, because what I found is the information with me going from green to black belt, my information was limited. My love for the art was great, but my information was limited in the sense that I wasn't around that long. So the only thing I really had was the information I was acquiring from green to black. So when I went to teach the children's class, that's what I taught my children's class. I taught my children's class whatever I was currently learning. I would give them my basics, have them hurry up, because I wanted to practice with the black belts. The only way I could keep up with my black belts is if I taught what I was learning in the black belt class to my children so I could practice it while the black belt class was going on. And in doing so, they labeled me the Pied Piper because I had all these little people running around,
Right.
moving like the adults in Sanuces. They didn't have the aggression. The beautiful thing about the children was they didn't have the aggression and the malice, but they performed the art beautifully. The skill level was there. The love for Doc was there. The love for all the professors. Also, at the time, it was a great time because when I was coming up, when Doc came through, there wasn't a whole lot of professors.
It's a lot now.
There wasn't, right, but at the time, there wasn't a whole lot of professors and Shions and Grandmasters. There was always like one, and one. And when I came through, that black belt class, it was at least 20 years prior to me getting there that these brothers that was on the mat that I was training with, that I was privy to train with. So they had so much, they were like a well of knowledge with Doc being there, and with Doc not being there, I could always look to Grandmaster Lumumba and get some jewel. And that was all around me. So I feel like the child Frankenstein of the family, whereby it's like I just had the opportunity to just, it's like I had a library of Sanuces around me. And then with me being put in that position as far as getting back to the children, that was those that were around me at the time, that's what they got. That's what the children got. And I was blessed to have a class of 125 children at the time. I was a green belt. Grandmaster Anthony was running a security company, and he would come downstairs whenever he was available. He said, do me a favor, say, start that class with me, I'm coming. Class would start, and class would end. And Grandmaster Anthony would come downstairs and go, it's over? Don't close them out yet. I'm like, don't close them out, we down here 2 hours. But yeah, that was, I could go on for days. That was a beautiful time.
Okay. Professor Hakeem, what's your take on the future of Sanuces?
Well, I just want to add to something what Sophie just said, and that is, see, our yellow belts back in the time he's speaking about was considered to be black belts in any other school. So, he was looking for more, but I understand because we all wanted more.
Right.
But compared to other schools, we were black belts.
Let me say one thing. I was on yellow belt for about 2 years.
Yeah, but as far as the future of the children, they are our future.
Mm-hmm.
We try at this school here especially, we try to, it's based on family, and the Doc was big on family. As a matter of fact, the Doc considered Sanuces to be family.
That's right.
So we continue with that spirit in this dojo. We treat everybody's child as our own, right? We try to discipline the same way we discipline our children, with, of course, sometimes with the permission, because some of the things we do here, if you go to some other people's schools, you'll be sued. You will be sued.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So I always feel, and I speak to you plenty of times, that people like myself, people like Sophie Osei, and Mark, and Professor Steve, and Shian Forever, and deceased my brother Colonel G. Montague. These are the people who need to also be interviewed.
Yes, sir.
Because they will be carrying on the Sanuces, and if you don't interview them, somebody else might get the credit for what was taught to them, which is Sanuces.
Yes, sir.
So we do need to speak about these individuals. That's how I feel. Because they are the future.
Yes, sir.
So they can pass it on.
Okay, I'm gonna shift gears for a second and do some touch and go with Professor Osei. 2021. If Dr. Moses Powell walked in that door right now, what would you say to him? What would you ask him? And what do you think he would say?
Honestly, and you know how we do, Professor James, because Professor James did this to me at his house. He told me that Doc was upstairs. And he said it, I don't know how many times he said it, but he had me thinking that Doc was really gonna come down the stairs. I would probably hit him with what he hit me and Professor James with when we went out to Vermont to practice the pier forms. And that's took you long enough.
Took you long enough to get it. That's
Took you
right.
long
What took
enough.
you so long?
Yeah, it took you so long. It took you long enough.
Right.
And it wouldn't be the first time that Doc surprised me. And that's one of the things that Doc gave me in my earlier days in Sanuces, is that don't assume and don't underestimate. Because Doc would give us scenarios on, you would always see Doc limp. And then some people would whisper, oh, Doc got shot in the leg. Doc, this happened to Doc. Well, so one day me and Dr. Moses Powell were standing at the top of the steps in Wells Collide. And exactly what we were doing in class today, we were doing body shots. He would throw a combination at me, and he would have me throw the combination back at him. Sister Gina came over to the side, his wife at the time came over to the side and said, hey babe, it's time to go. Doc looked at me, he threw one combination, I threw one combination. And because I had such a love for what I was doing, I was always in a joyful, and so that joyfulness would always come off, not cocky, but I was always like, yeah, I'm getting this, I got it. So Doc decided, because it was time for him to go, to do something a little different. And Doc hit me with a front snap kick. Okay? Out of all the years I've ever been around Dr. Moses Powell, I've never seen the man kick. I know Grandmaster Lumumba probably seen him.
Yes.
Grandmaster Lumumba probably seen him kick. Nobody, anything that Doc has ever, Doc will tell you, in Sanuces, we don't jog. We will never jog to a fight or jog from a fight. So therefore, I run. I get up every morning and I run a 100-yard dash full out. That's what Doc would tell us. And we're looking at Doc, and we know that he limped in here.
Yes, sir.
He bopped in here, bad hip, bad leg, and he's telling us the story every time we see it. I don't jog, I run. I run a full out, and he's giving times, and I'm looking at this man like, bro, like, are you kidding me? So that one day, we doing hands, nothing but hands. He said, all right, Jose, I gotta roll, and threw a front snap kick and hit me in my gut. Bop! He didn't have to do nothing else. I was frozen.
Yes, sir.
My spirit, I was done. That was a kill strike, if any, you know what I mean? Only because I didn't expect it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that's Doc just had that way of transferring that type of knowledge.
Beautiful.
Don't underestimate Sanuces.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, that now I'm gonna jump to another question, but come back to that question because of your answer. My background is Taekwondo, so I used to kick and all that stuff, and I interviewed Grandmaster Shabazz, and we talked about stretching and kicking and things of that nature. And Doc used to say, Brother James, you don't have to do high kicks no more. Bring them down to their knees, then axe kick them in the head. And I was like, damn, and it worked. So, Grandmaster Lumumba, can you talk about the kicks that Doc taught? Can you talk about the kicks in the 24? And from what I understand, it's like a lot of kicks in different directions: front kick, side kick, back kick, crescent kick. Can you speak on the kicks in Sanuces and Vee Jitsu?
Well, like Mr. Osa says, which I believe, but I don't want to say too much. Moses Powell didn't do too much kicking because he was relying basically strictly on the jiu-jitsu. Alright, but then there's Little John,
Bush.
who, and I was with him, all we're doing is now is getting kicks. We're doing 1,500 kicks a night. You know, we're kicking like crazy, front kick, 500 front kicks on each foot, roundhouse kick. So now, that's another story. That's you can say karate kicks, refine for more jiu-jitsu, and go higher than that. We're doing 3 kicks: front kick, a roundhouse kick, and a side kick before putting the foot down. That's what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
So then come here, Mr. V. Mr. V organized a system. This particular thing is called 1 to 24. It's in 3 different sections. The first one is the mind. That's punches, but everything is kicks, side, back, front, jump, kicking, front kick, kicking. Then we have the kicks, front kick, side, roundhouse kick, side, back, front, jump. Oh, forget it. All kind of kicks.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Then we have the major kata's, 1 to 9, which we know at 720 has now refined it even more. It says the 720 is from 1 to 9 major kata's,
Yes, sir.
right? You have the major colleges in Mr. V. And then we know the 720. What's our number between me? Who was it? Kevon.
Okay.
You and Mark
Myself and Mark.
created another form from the 9 major colleges. They could combine it together. Fantastic, eloquently.
Yes.
But maybe next year we will show the people more of it. I say, don't do it, don't show them now because you know people see all the stuff. So we will make sure that we have a lot of it under control and we're very good at it.
Yes.
By the time people get it and they want to run off with it, which is fine. We will already have our system, we have it really good.
Yes,
so when
sir.
these people do it, we're good too. So they might be good, but we're gonna make sure we are good. We're gonna make sure our system is good. We make sure our kicks, our throws, or whatever it is fantastic,
Yes, sir.
effective.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well,
Like-
on
like
that
that,
note,
sir.
what exactly is Kung Fu walking for?
All right, Kung Fu walk. So now, Mr. V, Mr. V system is called a system of systems, right?
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
knows that,
Yes,
right?
sir. That's right.
So Mr. V goes around. He didn't went to Jiu Mark, Sanuces. Which, so, yeah, which we learn from my students, learn from. So my idea was, I had another group. I learned with Moses Powell, I have another group, you know, we was rough guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I heard about it.
What? Yeah, yeah. No. Sometimes people have, some people in the street, you know, need us or something to help people.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
I don't want to say, I even help Bill out. Bill, Grandmaster Bill, get him in trouble. I get a group help him out.
Yes, sir. Teach. Old school.
Oh yeah, you can tell yourself.
Yes, sir.
Right? So we train, you know, fine. What is the question again?
Is that when you used to run with the bricks in your hand?
Hold on, yes. So what's the question
The
again?
question was, what is Kung Fu walking?
All
What is
right.
Kung Fu walk? What is it for?
Yes. Kung Fu walk is just to get you loose and move around
Hush.
from one place to another. But the Kung Fu walk is like, it's like the Southern Mantis, what is it?
The form? The Southern method?
Southern Mantis, yes. But they riding the horse. Like they ride the horse, see?
Hush.
We call it what they ride the horse, they move from one place to another. So we move in certain places, but low. It's an exercise.
No sense.
That's all it is.
Drills. Okay.
Yeah, drill. Yeah.
While we on that note, what about 5 fists, 5 hands?
What 5 hands? I don't know what 5 hands is.
Okay, good, good.
I don't know.
People tell me things, and I talk to them, and they say Professor V taught something called 5 hands.
Maybe, but I don't know. I never heard about it.
Hush, hush, hush.
Yeah, Professor V was around for a long
Professor V,
time.
he taught other people. Plus, he will tell. He had 2 groups at one time,
Yes, sir.
and he will teach one group A, and at the same time, he leave there. He go to other dojo, something, go to class a day, and he's B. And these 2 groups think they learn. They're doing 2 different stuff.
Different thing.
And I think he did reason to identify where he's teaching.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's like 1 to 24, 1 to 24, right?
Yes.
I got the first thing, but now Pop Edwards and his son,
Yeah.
Cowboy.
Cowboy.
they learned another
Another
124, yes. But just slightly difference. So they added another kick, that's all, on both of the side. That's all it was.
See, that's the type of history that most Sanuces practitioners don't know about.
Of course,
And that's why we're talking to you, sir.
right, and they didn't know where the 2-man set come from. Where did the 2-man come from, sir? Well, I don't want to say, but unfortunately, I was the first one, myself and Butch, with Mr. V. Mr. V created all of it, but mostly we were the 2 guys to put it together, and then we showed it to other people. We showed it to Little John, me and Little John started doing it in tournaments, we won a couple of prize monies for it, and then I went away, went somewhere, and then Mr. V, Little John teach who? I taught Bill everything. So,
Yeah.
he taught Anthony, and then they start. Of course, in the jiu-jitsu, listen, I'm not trying to be smart.
No, it's
It's true.
Like
It's true.
Listen.
It's true.
Listen.
It's true.
Listen.
I tell you, you know, the lines, they're the best in one line. But I taught these guys all the whole jiu-jitsu system from. So a lot of Moses Powell students learn jiu-jitsu from me.
Yes, sir.
From Mr. V.
Yes,
From
sir.
me, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I was told that you were the #1 practitioner to help Professor V spread Vee Jitsu, especially in the black community.
At a certain time, yes, but
Yes,
now,
sir.
now David James took over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he's doing a good job. Ladies, sensei, they're doing a good job.
Yes,
and
sir.
I commend to this guy, David James, because he compiled, he got a trunk full of information.
Yes, sir. That's
He's
right.
doing that for real.
Yeah, yes.
So
I
we gotta do the
interviewed
same
you,
thing,
too.
yes.
Yes, yes.
For real, I know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
whether you like him or not, he has information. He's good. He's good.
Yes, sir. Beautiful,
He
beautiful,
might
beautiful history. So, Professor Hakeem,
Yes, sir.
what would you say to Doc, or what would you ask Doc if you had an opportunity to talk to him?
Well, I would like to Doc himself, I would ask him to give me a better understanding of some of the things people speak about. You know, I was told by his wife that, you know, before he passed on, he gave a lot of people ranks, and a lot of people was pissed off about that. But I was told by his wife that he knew, but a lot of people say he didn't know he was going to pass on, but he knew he was going to transition. And he wanted certain people to represent him when he moved on. Right? So he gave different people ranks, and a lot of people, you know, so I like, you know, to get confirmation of exactly something like that.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
of course, to teach me a lot more of the love you hear people talk about. You know, because I was around the doc as long as they said, oh, say it, right? And he's been there. But I wasn't a speaker.
Right.
I was more in the background. I would be taking pictures or some kind of thing, or don't say nothing, because remember, I came up with Sugaroo also.
Yes, sir.
And before we entered the dojo, we got a courtesy.
Hush.
Nobody in the dojo, we got a courtesy. And as an underrank, that what we said, underbelts, you could be amongst the black belts, but you can't speak
Hush.
unless spoken to.
Old school. Yes, sir.
So when I came across to VSK or to, you know, down to Wentworth Collide or Jackie Robert, what? Jackie
Well,
Robert?
that's oh, you talking about Paul
Paul
Robeson.
Paul Robeson. Always confused. You know, I came with that same protocols. So I would just listen and don't really say anything, don't ask any questions. That's what I told you before. When the doc first called my name, I was like in shock that
Yes,
he
sir.
knew my
Yes,
name.
sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, there might be a lot of things, but I'm not sure exactly what I'll say to him.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Jose, I'm gonna go to you. I'm gonna come back. Who's your favorite 3, maybe 4 Sanuces players right now? Masters, and why?
Masters.
Or just, I'm saying masters being nice. Let me just say this.
Well, let me just say,
Okay, go ahead.
no, I got one of my favorites right next to you.
Yes, sir. Everybody's favorite, the legendary.
But particularly my favorite. Many reasons. When I first met him, or before I met him, there was the legend of, I'm gonna say just off the record, Lumumba. But I address him as Grandmaster Lumumba. At the time it was Professor Lumumba. And it was always a story. Like a comic book. Like, you know, like Doc was legend,
Right.
but Grandmaster Lumumba was legendary.
Teach.
And it's like, you know, you didn't really hear about Dr. Moses Powell in the streets. You heard that he could get busy, that he did his thing, like checks her. But whenever you heard about Sanuces in the streets,
It was Grandmaster Lumumba.
it was always him and Hudson. I mean, those two names were synonymous. And Hudson, the only story I got on Hudson was there was somebody throwing bricks at him. That was one story. But I always heard, it was always like the Sanuces Chronicles.
Yes, sir.
Grandmaster Lumumba in the streets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then one day, I'm going for my black belt test, and Grandmaster Lumumba shows up for my black belt test. And legend has it that Grandmaster Lumumba and Soke Littlejohn used to spar for hours. They said, word had it that when they got together, it was like magic. They would just go and not hold back, just go. So here I am about to go for my black belt test. Once again, feeling proud of what I did. Everybody else that took the test with me, Shion, Forever, Professor Steve, Patrick. I don't know if they took their test with, but Steve and Forever took their test with me.
Yes.
But I didn't have a 9 to 5 like everybody else.
Yeah.
So because I lived in the dojo, I had extra energy. My techniques was on point. When they said do 120 techniques, they stopped me at 150. They told me go sit down. Right?
Yes, sir.
Because I loved it, and it came time for sparring. God bless him, Professor Little that taught us the long forms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Had on his gi. He said, I'll spar with Jose. I did Grandmaster Anthony's move, you know, when you jump and do the roundhouse kick, caught him. Ah! He was out of there. Yeah, it's like, Grandmaster Lumumba had on some sweats. I'm looking at the side like, oh, that's Grandmaster Lumumba. And everybody's looking around. Steve and Forever, they won out. The number was 23 minutes of sparring.
Yes, sir.
With a minute rest in between every 2 or 3 minutes. Grandmaster Lumumba decided that he gonna take off, he gonna spar that night. So I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be good. They say, no, he's sparring you. I said, whoa. I said, wait a minute. You know, I wish I would have saved some of that cocky energy. You know what I mean? But ever since then, it was a beautiful experience. Grandmaster Lumumba came by my dojo one day, and I don't know where I got this crazy idea. He came in, I was cleaning the dojo. Remember this name, Grandmaster? I'm cleaning the dojo. I'm there by myself. I got the music on. I'm sweeping up. And Grandmaster Lumumba is always correcting me on my 1 to 24. Who showed you that? Bill, right? Okay. He'll show you that? No. Let him show you. Keep doing it with it. I'm like, no, man. If I'm doing it wrong, he said, no, it's okay. Keep doing it. So I'm there cleaning up by myself. Grandmaster Lumumba takes his briefcase, sits down. He's watching me. He's looking around. So I'm saying, maybe he's staying there, nice, cool. And I was like, man, why this man don't ever want to teach me nothing? So I hear Grandmaster Bill's voice. Oh, you know, if you want to get Doc open on a technique, you got to punch him. You got to take his head off, right? You got to take his head off, right? So I'm thinking, I never tried that crap with Doc. I ain't stupid. But something that day got into me and said, maybe you should try that with Grandmaster Lumumba. I said, after all, we are family, right? So I'm walking around. So I said, I know how I'm going to get him. Because I used to play games. There was a pen sitting on the counter. So I'm sweeping up, but I know he's always watching. So I go over and I cuff the pen as a martial artist would cuff a pen as if he wanted to do something with it. So I pulled it up slow. And I started sweeping. So Grandmaster Lumumba was sitting there, and he kind of like, and he went back and he started patting his foot. Like he picked, okay, I know he picked up on it. He's patting his foot. So now I'm walking around with the pen and I'm coming close by, I'm sweeping. I go back to the counter, I put the pen down. He stopped patting his foot. Hold on. I go back again. I pick up the pen. So he's like, what the hell is wrong with Jose, man? I could feel the whole conversation going on. Like, what the hell is wrong with this boy? So now I got blinds. There's blinds to the dojo. In order to see in the dojo, you got to open the blinds. So I go by him again. I step over the bench. But I go towards him like I'm coming to attack him, and I go past him and I open the blinds. So then he starts patting his foot again. Like, I don't know what this guy's doing. So finally, long story short, I finally get that's me building up my nerve. I finally get the nerve, and I say the audacity to touch one of my professor's face. I took my fist. I didn't punch him. Don't get crazy, people. Okay? I took my fist. And I did this, right? He didn't move. He looked at me, and I'm like waiting like, okay, Jose, brace yourself. Like he's about to open it up. Here comes the book of knowledge. He's gonna do something. He stood up and said, good. Okay, good. And I'm like looking at him like, he left. He left the dojo. So I'm like, what technique is that? So now I'm like, damn, man, you messed up. Like, why would you do that, right? So now I'm like questioning myself. Saturday morning, me and my wife, we're going to open up the dojo. I got off work early, so I'm going to open up the dojo. I got Shion Perry with me. Shion Perry, one of my top dogs, he's supposed to be watching my back, but not necessarily. We just open the dojo. Open up the dojo, I go in the back to change. Shion Perry comes in last. Me and T is in the back. I start to change my gi. Perry comes to the back. Not watching his back. Perry comes to the back. Shion, you got a visitor here. I said, who is it? He said, I think you know him because I seen him here before. I said, okay, tell him I'm coming. when Cheon Perry turned for me this way, Grandmaster Lumumba came around his back this way. Perry didn't even know. So Perry is like walking back out to the front. Grandmaster Lumumba goes, defend yourself. I got one leg in my gi pants and half a gi top on. And I'm looking at him like, what? And he said, defend yourself. So I'm trying to get up off the mat and punches and kicks and pump. T, remember the black and blue on my head? He wasn't holding back, but it was love. It wasn't nothing that was going to disfigure me or nothing. It wasn't like direct punches, but it was like, defend yourself. Like, yeah, fool, defend yourself. So I'm like, bah, I'm getting hit. And I'm trying to put my top on. I'm like, ah. So I'm blocking. And then it got to the point whereby I could feel the love. Like, I remember why this is happening.
Right.
Like, oh, right? It hit me. So in the midst of blocking, it's like the exchange started. I started like returning fire. And we stopped. And he said, good. And love. And I'm like, yo, what was that? And I was like, so next thing you know, I don't know if I shared it. So somebody, I think it was Tim. Remember Tim and them from When Worlds Collide? Tim comes in, yo, I heard you and Professor Lumumba had a fight. I said, whoa. That is not what happened. But definitely Grandmaster Lumumba. Definitely Grandmaster Anthony. Definitely Grandmaster Bill. I can't leave Soke Battle out because he was there at an intricate time in my training. Those are like my founding fathers in Sanuces. I was first introduced to Grandmaster Anthony, and he's the one why I fell in love with Sanuces, and then I met Doc. Soke Little John, you said the name 4. All of these, see, coming up as the child, or coming up as what they want to call a Johnny come lately, it's like looking at Mount Rushmore, man. It's like Sean Baskin from Sugaroo, that transition. Yeah. Mike Black. All of these guys were heavies when I came around. You know what I mean? Grandmaster, everybody was already somebody in their own right. Like you had Doc, and then you had like the heads of state.
Yes, sir.
You know? So for me to just name 4 would really be unfair to, because I can honestly say that I was privy and I was blessed to learn from each one of these individuals. Right. And just like how they say the elephant in the room, each person that was in that room caught a different side of Doc.
Yes, sir.
And that's what they shared with me.
Yes, sir.
And because I was the student that I was, they wanted to share that with me because I would hold on and show what they showed me. It's like, listen, this is what Bill showed me. Yes, this is what Grandmaster Anthony showed me. Right. This is what I got from Soke Little John. This is what I got from Grandmaster Lumumba. The garbage bag with the yeah. So yeah.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna turn this into the Grandmaster Lumumba story. So Grandmaster Lumumba always got his suit on, his tie, like he's a preacher or something. You see him, you don't think he's a martial artist. I've been blessed to have him at my dojo, I think 2 or 3 times. And every seminar that I gave in New York for Grandmaster Bill, he was there. I was the only one that could get him to come up and demonstrate. And it just blew my mind. It was an honor for you to come up there and do that. And then he came the last year in January 2020, and he met my teacher, Grandmaster Barry, who was 82, still rolling out, still throwing, taking throughs, and they just hung out like best friends. Yes. So Grandmaster Lumumba is definitely one of my favorites. But Hakeem, who you got? And why?
Well, personally, just like Soke said, being a junior in the Sanuces system, I have to thank a lot of people, not just grandmasters and professors, but students, so I just named starting from the top coming down, right? Supreme Grandmaster Birds of Visitation, right? Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Moses Powell, Supreme Grandmaster Lumumba, Soke John Davis, Grandmaster Haji Muhammad, Grandmaster Bill McClellan, Grandmaster Robert Crossan, Grandmaster Jose Velez, Soke Adam Battle, Jose, Professor Steve, Shion Forever, Colonel G. Montague, you know, Professor Kev, you know, all of these brothers
Oliver.
made me today. Oliver, I didn't train too much with Oliver, but I did train with him down at Warren with Collide a few times. You know, Xiang Wei, you know, these are all the people, because of them, I am who I am today. And in this dojo, of course, you know, Grandmaster Lumumba is the Grandmaster of this dojo.
Yes, yes,
Grandmaster is my primary teacher right now. And he's here with us, and he's always supported me. As a matter of fact, he tells me all the time, you know, if I wasn't the type of person, humble, sincere, and really serious about what I was doing, yeah, he won't be here. He won't be here, and he won't share anything. He tells me that all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm blessed in the sense to have, so he was saying, guaranteed Supreme Grandmaster Lumumba here with us. No doubt. And a lot of people wish they have it.
Yes,
There was
absolutely.
no doubt about it.
And I know how close you two are, because when we went to Grandmaster Lumumba's Tai Chi class today to do some coverage of that, when the students were out there doing their Tai Chi, Professor Hakeem was right out there rocking with him, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was on point. And I'm like, man, that's really his son. Now, I want to thank Soke Osei, one of my favorites. I love him. I could love him more, Tanya, if he would answer my phone calls sometime. But you know how old he is.
That's only because Doc said I'm your left, and or this was my left and that was my right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got them tapes when you gonna bring them tapes out?
Anyway, Professor Osei, if you want to see what he can do, go to any Sanuces group tape that Dr. Moses Powell put out in the 90s, and you will see what I'm talking about.
Many,
In
many.
fact, Doc referred to him, he said, the young man is a phenomenon. And that's a hell of a compliment. This brother right here, one of the best demonstrators in Sanuces that I've seen.
Yes.
His rolls,
Yes.
his flying
Yes.
rolls, and his kata is so fast, you gotta know the form in order to know what he's doing when you're watching. Grandmaster Lumumba, we're gonna slowly but surely close this out. So what advice do you have for the Sanuces family and the Sanuces practitioners? And something I learned from Grandmaster Shabazz. When he mentioned people's name in the interview, he said Mr. Bill McLeod, Mr. Lamar Thornton, Mr. this. And I said, man, why are you saying Mr.? When I came up in Taekwondo, we had to call our teacher Mr. Barry. And all the students was a Mr. You could be 9 years old and you were Mr. James. That was just a respect level. But Professor Shabazz said, I don't want to get into all the titles because there's too many grandmasters and professors out here. So I just say Mr. If I love you and have honor for you and respect, I'm going to call you Mr. So what advice do you have for the up and coming masters, and what is your understanding of what a grandmaster is, and why do we have so many professors?
Well, ultimately, a name is a name. It's a noun, but it's a name of something of people. But listen, we have a lot of grandmasters, so it's all right. Or we have less grandmasters. But the idea is that what are we doing with our the grandmasters and people who's doing Sanuces? What are we doing to elevate the level of Sanuces? The techniques is one, but there's also other things too. So we can become a greatest killer machine, which is good. We need that, right? Because we're going to treat but we can never hurt me. But we need to have also elevate the level intellectually, physically, and even spiritually. So here we are. You're physically healthy. You can fight, but your body is not so good. So but with the Sanuces training and techniques you put into it now, like we know, we're doing breathing. We have 3 different kinds of breathing routines, right? Meditation, eating right, thinking right, and trying to get your mind into your body into your mind, and use that fusion to elevate yourself to a higher level.
Hush. And that's grandmastership right there. Osei, what advice do you have for the Sanuces?
Definitely along the lines of what Professor Grandmaster Lumumba just said. As Grandmaster Lumumba knows, I trained with Sifu Roosevelt Gainey, which was a Tai Chi Kong, Bagua practitioner, and the breath is everything. There's nothing that you can do in life, period, without the breath. So the key is to optimize the breath, as he would say, long breath, long life. And what I found and what I tried to share with my Sanuces brothers earlier on, because I actually was training with Sifu Roosevelt Gainey prior to Dr. Moses Powell transitioning. The history goes that Sifu Roosevelt Gainey and Doc were very close friends and lived very close in proximity in Coney Island together, whereby they would actually train and exchange notes, whereby the Qigong that was being taught to me by Sifu Roosevelt, Doc already knew. He just didn't teach that as a part of the Sanuces curriculum. He would show different aspects of breathing during his Sanuces work, but he wouldn't go into detail.
Right.
Certain, as he would put it, everything wasn't for everybody.
Right.
And if you caught it, it was yours.
Yes, sir.
You earned it. So with the breath, I will firmly say that you include the breath, and the breath will strengthen and enhance everything that you do in life on all levels. So as you know, what I teach now, I currently call Sanuces Kiwaza. Ki meaning energy, Waza meaning technique, or Ki can also be associated with the breath and Chi. So Sanuces incorporating exactly what Grandmaster Lumumba just now said, infusing the art with the breath, and the breath is life, and there's only one place that the breath comes from, which is the Creator. So that oneness, that's where we at. Sanuces Kiwaza.
You know, Grandmaster Bill taught me this. First of all, you're right. The breath of life that sustains us all comes from the Creator.
Right.
It's like a loan, and one day He's going to ask us to pay the loan back. And Grandmaster Bill said something very profound to me one day. He said, Professor James, you got to live your life and breathe properly. So when you take your last breath, it's not one of stress, de-stress, and negativity. It's all positive, and you go out peaceful. And I just thought that was very profound. Professor Hakeem, any advice for the Sanuces family before we close out?
Yeah, well, like we always say, everybody speak about it, train, and more training. Can't stop training. Gotta keep training and training. But you have to learn the same thing Grandmaster Lumumba and some people say was talking about breathing. Now, people take different steps of learning to breathe. So some people may do some yoga, or get into the chakras and stuff, and learn how to channel the energy, and all of that have to do with breathing. So the breath is very important, like they say. I'll piggyback off of that. You can take different avenues to get to the same spot. But whatever you do not become a fanatic.
I like that.
Yeah, don't become a fanatic. Because you start to get tunnel vision when you become a fanatic. And you think your way is the only way.
Right.
720. If you start off, if you're in a boat and you start up at 1 degree here, by the time you reach over there, you're quite over there. Right? That's how far apart from the center line that you are. So you gotta learn to deal with the 360, 720. Heaven and earth.
I think Doc said it best when he said, waste not, want not. You don't want to be a sponge, because the sponge always resides at the bottom of the ocean.
That's right.
Because it always tries to take on more water than it can handle.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
The professor just now said, don't be a sponge, just enough.
Just enough for the city.
Yes.
Doc said to me one day, he said, James, rank is a good thing, but knowledge is a greater thing. So my advice is get the knowledge.
Yes.
Seek the knowledge.
Yes.
And then learn how to use it properly.
Yes.
And pass it on.
Yes.
Like Grandmaster Lumumba so graciously passed it on. We also interviewed Professor Stone from Sugarloaf Jiu-Jitsu today, along with Grandmaster Lumumba at his Tai Chi class, and that's going to be a part of this documentary. This was an awesome conversation. I don't even want to call it an interview, with the legendary Grandmaster Lumumba Hernandez, the most prophetic Vee Jitsu teacher and Sanuces practitioner, Doc's #1 champion, Professor Hakeem, and so people say My good brother, I want to thank you all for sharing the knowledge. Is there anything you want to say before we bow out?
We appreciate you coming here.
Yeah.
I think this was meant to be because we had no idea we were going to see Professor Stone, Grandmaster
Yes,
Stone,
sir.
at Tai Chi.
I missed that. Wow.
He studied Tai Chi
Wow.
with Grandmaster Lumumba.
Us.
And he had on this mask and we had no idea.
And he was
But
out there.
he couldn't hide.
He couldn't
I
hide.
saw that eyes and I was, no way. Because you
Mhm.
know, he's one of my first instructors because you know I came through Sugar Root, right? And back there with Michael Black and Professor Stone, and there was the right hand of Grandmaster Robert Carson.
Yes, sir.
You know, so
Right.
you know, it had to be, you know.
Yes, sir.
Us,
Professor Hussein?
thank you very much.
Always, Professor Sims, as Doc would call you. Yeah, 007. I was about to say secret agent, but you always had the gadgets. I don't know if you slowed down with the gadgets,
No.
but Doc would always look at you and look away and know that his back or his six was covered, that he was always covered. And then he would look at me and be like, "Hush, yeah, you got the other side."
That's
And
right.
I'm just, proud to be your brother, and also, it's been an honor to know you as a martial artist, to train with you as a martial artist, and that we all continue this journey together. We never know, or we don't know how long we're gonna be here, and it's like you can have one stick that's on fire, and it'll have a certain amount of light. But if you take a bundle of sticks and you light that same fire to the bundle of sticks, the fire will be that much greater. So that's how I feel that this is when we come together, that the flame, because we're together, that it's going to be that much. But me by myself, that could be like a candle in a dark room. In a dark room, yes, but when the sun comes up, that little candle ain't really saying too much. But us together, doing what we're doing right now with our students, definitely keeping the light of Sanuces alive. I know that Doc is proud.
Yes, definitely.
I know he's proud. I know that he's not disappointed. Had a big question mark, but I know he's not. We've been true. We've been true to it.
Yes, sir.
Us.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in again for another edition of Sanuces Skills and Drills, dedicated to uplifting the name of Dr. Moses Powell, the Sanuces and Grand Professor Vee. We want to thank God for Grand Professor Lumumba.
Us.
What's up?
Thank God for him. And just so you all know, the children are here listening to the wisdom coming from the legendary Grandmaster Lumumba.
Us.
So this is each one teach one, and we're passing it over. So again, we thank us.
Us.
Eye to eye,
Eye to
Eye
eye,
to
heart
eye
to
to
heart.
heart.
Each one teach one.
Us.
Us. Thank you.
What's up?
Thank you.
Ah.
I'm with Grandmaster Lumumba Hernandez and Professor Hakeem. We're going to check out Grandmaster Lumumba's Tai Chi class, and we're going to talk to Grandmaster Lumumba about Vee Jitsu, Sanuces, and get some history, share with the up-and-coming students and potential professors and masters, and we're going to have a good time sharing the information because he's a living legend, one of the most knowledgeable men of Vee Jitsu and Sanuces, Dr. Moses Powell's first champion, Grandmaster Lumumba. Let's check out his Tai Chi class. Grandmaster Lumumba doing his thing. Can't wait to talk to him about Sanuces and Vee Jitsu. Grand Professor Vee and Dr. Moses Powell. This man is a legend.
That's it. Woo.
Grandmaster Lumumba, what exactly is Tai Chi? What is Tai Chi?
Generally, you can say slow movements. That's all. Slow movements. Slow movements. But besides that, is unifying the body and the mind. The body and the mind. Body-mind connection. Body connection. So that's what it's all about.
What about the breathing?
Yeah, you breathe naturally, but you gotta understand your breathing. You gotta go with your breathing. You have to understand your breathing.
Yes,
you have
sir.
to learn how to breathe naturally and in sequences. Yeah.
How many stages of breathing are there?
I don't actually know. In our class, we have 3 different groups of breathing techniques. We have the beginner and intermediate. And we have 3 different kinds. But all is good. It's helping build up the immune system, make your lungs stronger, and make you healthier. And reduce stress.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what it's all about, is breathing.
Yes, sir.
Meditation. You're only fighting and killing people. Also meditating, getting your mind and body and spirit connected with yourself and the universe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We got Professor Stone here. He tried to hide under his mask, but he's here.
This is one of my original Sugar Root teachers. Yeah.
Sugar Root Jiu-Jitsu. That's right. Yes, sir. So we out here talking with Grandmaster Lumumba, Professor Hakeem, and the one and only Sugar Root Specialist, Professor Stone. So, Professor Hakeem, you said that, what did you say, that Professor Stone was your first teacher?
He was one of my first teachers. Through Sensei Baki at the time, I came into the Sugar Root system. That's why I started the Sanuces.
Yes, sir.
Sugar Root.
Yes, sir.
Right, and Professor Stone and Professor Michael Black used to
Teach,
come to
yes.
quite often.
Doc used to call him
So
Black
was-
Mike.
Right, and so was Grandmaster Robert Sugar Crossan.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Of course, the titles back then was a little
Right,
different. but
understood.
I give them the respect as my seniors, my teachers, my brothers, my mentors, and Professor Stone was always there for me, man.
Good
Always
brother,
there for
good
me.
brother. Let me tell you something.
For me.
If you ever watch any of the demonstrations from back in the day in Hollywood, all on TV, Wild World of Sports, what was it, Aaron Banks, Madison Square Garden, you see Sugaroo, you see Grandmaster Sugar, but you also see Professor Stone right there doing his thing, moving. He was a big man, he wasn't a little man, and he was moving strong, and we appreciate that. So, sir, can you just say a few words about Professor Michael Black, who's been at my dojo, beautiful human being? Speak on him for a second.
That was my brother, man.
Yeah, very emotional.
Yes, sir, it's real. I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We were like this.
Yes,
When you saw him, you saw me.
always. Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
I appreciate him so much.
Yes, sir.
And I miss him.
We all miss him.
I miss him so much. And he gave me so much, even though he was much younger than me. But he was my professor in martial arts. But I was his professor in life.
Yes, sir. Teach.
That's what was so good with me and him. And I'm sorry that I'm getting so emotional.
It's
about
all right.
this.
It's real. It's real. It's coming from the heart.
I just love my brother so much.
Yes,
And I
sir.
miss him with all my heart.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I've never had a friend that close. And I owe it all to the martial arts. And he was much bigger and I was short and big.
Right.
And we complimented each other. He was very soft with his movement.
Yes, sir.
And I was rough and tough with my movement.
Yes, sir.
And we never even hurt each other. And people couldn't understand some of the techniques we done. And Master Sugar taught me so much, and I appreciate what he gave us, not just the martial arts, but he taught me something in life, even though I am older than my master instructor.
Yes, sir.
So-
You know, I'm going to send you something. It was the year 1998 at my dojo. Doc was there.
Yes, sir.
Everybody was there.
I remember.
And he called out Professor Michael Black. He said, "Hey, Black Mike, you know what I want to see." And Mike did that thing where he does the split when you come at him, and
Yes,
he
sir.
gets behind you and does the, I don't know if it's a hook kick or an axe kick, but I'm going to send that to you because
Yeah.
that's probably one of the last times he did his thing.
Yeah,
And
that
it was
kick,
beautiful. Yes.
People have asked me if that was the best jiu-jitsu technique they had ever seen.
Yes, sir.
He would lock my hands up, my mouth up, and I couldn't move, and he would be behind me, and he would take me out from behind like a crescent kick that hit me in the chest and take me out.
Yes, sir. I'm going to
And
send you
I've
that.
never seen that technique.
I
Nobody
never seen it
done
either.
that technique.
And Dr.
Never.
Moses Powell loved it. He said, "Mike, you know what I want to see." And he did it without Doc telling him what he wanted. He
Yeah.
knew instinctively that's what Doc wanted to see.
Yeah, we were very creative in the dojo.
Yes,
We would
sir.
practice
Yes,
over
sir.
and
Yes,
over
sir.
and over.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, sir, for taking the time to speak with us and sharing the history and speaking about your professor and your brother and your friend. And Professor Hakeem, thank you for giving us that history because I did not know you studied Sugaroo Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
Oh, good.
And I studied all of them.
Yes, sir.
Rules, Sanuces rules,
Oh, absolutely.
Professor Vee.
Tell me a story about Doc real quick.
There's some stories about Doc. He used to call me up and come to his house on Sundays. And we wouldn't even talk martial arts. We would sit down and talk about life and eat chicken, fried
And he loved chicken. Yes, sir.
fried chicken. And we would just discuss all different things. And he said, sometimes I just get a little tired of talking the same thing over and over. And he could relax and be comfortable with me and tell me things that he wouldn't speak to other people about because they might be uncomfortable hearing it.
Yes, sir.
But I accepted him and he accepted me.
Yes, sir.
So
Beautiful.
And I appreciate that.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Professor Hakeem, you may as well give us a story about Doc. Come on, I know you got something.
Well, my first story of the Doc, of course, the first time I met him was through Grandmaster Robert Crossan, who had a seminar in 1990 or 91 out in Rockaway,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I met Doc there in person. But I don't know when worlds collide. No, we was at Paul Robinson, Jackie Robinson, Albany and Bergen there. I trained with him over there. But When he called me by my name down at When Words Collide, I was passing. He always asked me how I'm doing, but he never called me by my name. And he said, Hakeem. I was like, he know my name? You know what I mean? That blew my mind.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Simple
sir.
as that, it blew my mind.
Yes,
you know?
sir.
And then
Yes,
from
sir.
there on, you know, we had a good relationship.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother, so much for helping me out with this. I'm going to call this the history of Sanuces in Brooklyn, because that's where we at, Brooklyn, New York. Us?
sir.
Eye to eye.
Eye to eye.
Us.